Do you like Piña Colada and getting caught in the rain? If you do, let me tell you more about it and its controversial history. The basic elements of a piña colada is pineapple juice, coconut cream, and cherries for on top. Many people include rum in order to make an alcoholic cocktail beverage. However, the history of this drink is controversial because the origin is a mystery. We don't know who actually made it. It is between 4 different Puerto Rican men who claim ownership of the drink. The first one being Roberto Cofresi, the second one being Ramon Monchito Marrero, the third one being Ricardo Garcia, and the fourth and last one being Ramon Portas Mingot. The first person I mention is called Roberto Cofresi, and according to Ariel Vieira, in his documentary, Roberto Cofresi was a very famous pirate in the Caribbean and was known as the Robin Hood of the Caribbean. He would travel around his ship and steal from other ships, especially Spaniard ships, take their treasures and give it back to the poor people living in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and other Caribbean countries he would visit. So he was very well known and loved. Unfortunately, he was lost at sea one time and was afraid that his crewmates would overthrow him if he wouldn't feed them. So he was desperate to find ingredients on his ship and give it to his crewmates. So the first ingredient he saw was coconuts. They were eating coconuts, so he decided to take the coconut water inside and mix it with something they were drinking, rum. And he mixed the coconut water and rum together, but he decided to still need a little something. He looked on the ship and saw pineapple. According to Gemma Hallman, who has a degree in medieval history, pineapple meant fortune. So Roberto Cofresi was very afraid of whether or not to put this in his drink. The pineapple in the 1800s was something very sacred. It wasn't available for Europeans to taste it because in order for it to arrive there in time, you had to be a really good sailor. You had to travel across the seas and make sure it's still fresh. Pineapple meant that you had power and money. If you had a pineapple, that meant that you really have a lot of power in that time. And so people would rent it out for their parties and would just have it on display for everyone to see. And the richest person then would eat it. At the end of everyone having at the party, they would eat it. And so pineapples really meant a lot in that time. And even if you look at architecture today in Europe, you would see pineapples implemented in buildings or in statues. And that is why Roberto Cofresi was hesitant whether or not to include it, but he did. And his crewmates loved it and they were satisfied. But however, the recipe for this drink died off when Roberto Cofresi died in 1825. Now if we forward 100, almost more than 100 years later, we see that the second person on our list, who we will call Monchito as his nickname, works in the Caribe Hilton Hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And he had said that he thought about the legend and wanted to make a drink that showed the essence of Puerto Rico in it. He made the drink and sold it in this hotel. And according to Fedora's Travel, he made this drink but without rum. He made it into a milkshake and he sold it to the families that were coming to visit. And because of this, everyone went crazy over Puerto Rico, this new hotel, and this new drink. However, people, adults, would get the milkshake and would sneak up to the bar and pour some rum in it. And this is when really it got super famous because people started enjoying it as an alcoholic beverage. However, the third person on our list, according to Simon Difford, his name is Ricardo Garcia, and he was Monchito's co-worker. And he claims that Monchito stole the idea from him, stole the fame from him, and he, being his co-worker, actually was the one who had the idea for the drink, and he deserves the fame. And the fourth one being almost 10 years later, in 1963, Monchito had made this drink in 1954 in one part of San Juan, and 10 years later, 1963, almost 10 years later, the drink was appeared again in the Baricina restaurant with someone saying, "Hey, I actually made it years ago, and this is my drink." So many people believe that in this restaurant called Baricina Restaurant, Ramon Portas Mingot made the Piña Colada. It is even so that you can see a plaque in front of his restaurant that says, "Here lies the owner of the Piña Colada." And many people believe him, even though it was 10 years later and may feel a little unreliable because of all the fame that Monchito had gained. Many people still believe him, and if we look at Google reviews today, many people are excited about going to that restaurant, to the place where they believe was the birthplace of the Piña Colada. So I leave you with this mystery. Who do you think it is? It could be the pirates, Roberto Cofresi, who actually made the first one. It could be Ramon Monchito Moreno or his co-worker, Ricardo, or actually it could be Ramon Portas Mingot. Whoever it was, I'm grateful it was made. It gave PR, my beautiful country, a lot of fame, and also it's included in a lot of my family traditions and memories, and also the people around the world of it. Who do you think made the Piña Colada? Thank you. Here's my speaking outline, Professor. You can see it. Thank you.